Being a 12-year-old adolescent girl is hard enough while growing up. Usually this is a time when girls are in 6th grade and starting to learn about makeup, boys, maturing, gaining weight, growing taller, or getting ready to be a teenager. It is possible that you are thinking that you might get a STD, a sexual transmitted disease, called the HPV. Being diagnosed with cervical cancer and possibly dying from these results may become older. Recently, in June 2006, Food and Drug Administration approved a vaccine known as Gardasil to be the first and only vaccine that will prevent HPV, which causes cervical cancer. According to the government, they would like to pass a law requiring young 12-year-old girls to be vaccinated before entering the 6th grade. However, there are a few individuals who disagree with this point of action. One of the most commonly sexually transmitted diseases is known as the HPV, including more than 120 known groups of the virus. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention has calculated 6.2 million Americans have become infected with HPV each year, and resulting in genital warts or cervical cancer. It is more likely for women having sexual contact with men to become infected with HPV, but some women do not experience any symptoms because the body is able to fight off the virus. Then there are some women who are diagnosed with different HPV types. Low risk HPV 11 and 6, and high risk are HPV 16 and 18. It is proven HPV is now recognized as a major cause of cervical cancer. HPV 16 and 18 are characterized as a virus that is found in the lining of the woman's cervix, causing abnormal cells, resulting in a high risk of cervical cancer, which can begin to form from after 1 year of sexual intercourse for many years. Cervical cancer is becoming a major issue in today's society. According to the American Cancer Society, this disease kills more than 288,000 women worldwide each year. In the United States, 10,000 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer every year, and average on 10 women die each day. A screening of a pap test from a gynecologist is used in detecting the abnormal cells in the cervix, leading to cervical cancer. In June 2006, the vaccine Gardasil was announced by Meagan Company and the FDA to be the first and only vaccine developed to prevent HPV and cervical cancer. It has been stated that Gardasil protects strains of HPV 16 and 18 that are responsible for about 70% of all cervical cancers. It can also protect against HPV 16 and 11, HPV 6 and 11, which are causes of genital warts. Gardasil is made up of 3 shots over a 17-month period, with averaging of $110 per dose. However, the vaccine does not get rid of existing HPV. It only prevents against future infections. The only study involved with Meagan Company's vaccine Gardasil was a clinical trial that involved about 2,000 women from ages 23 and older. Meagan Company concluded that half of the women received 3 vaccine shots, and the other half received placebo. The participants were followed for an average of 17 months after getting the 3rd shot. An average of 41 women developed HPV 16 viruses that received the placebo shot, compared to 22 women who received the Gardasil vaccination did help cervical abnormalities that can lead to HPV 16, including the other 1,500 women who received the same shot and didn't develop HPV 16. Governor of Texas, Rick Perry, became thrilled with Meagan Company's HPV and cervical cancer vaccine Gardasil. He potentially signed an executive order for the requirement that 12-year-old girls entering the 6th grade be obligated to be vaccinated with Gardasil in 2008. This law has not gone through the Senate, but is in the process of being approved and signed. The New York Times posted Governor Perry's action, praised by health advocates, caused by many surprised in a largely competitive state where sexual politics is often battleground, causing effectiveness with the bill will only result in preventing cancer for young girls, but will lead to possible cause of negative opinions towards a veto of the bill. Supplying vaccinations for about 170,000 6th-grade girls would approximately cost about $60 million, exploiting with insurance companies, full figures, and government paying for young girls. According to these circumstances, are we really prepared to spend millions of dollars in administering the vaccine for young girls? Factual information presented from the New York Times stated Gardasil is one of the most expensive vaccines on the market, with a price of $360 of a series of 3 shots to last for at least 5 years. There is not a company that has yet assisted or providing services in the vaccine with adults who cannot afford them. Some also doubt that 12-year-old girls aren't sexually active at this point, as their time's already. Their bodies aren't finished developing, which include height, weight, growing taller, and even growing up in the upper chest region. If they pass a law requiring for young girls to be vaccinated preventing HPV cervical cancer over a period of 17 months, then should they also become a conclusion for girls to be on birth control to prevent pregnancy or have required pap smears at age 2? And being that there isn't law that pursues a required age limit for birth control. With one specific testing on Gardasil, Meagan Company has experienced with about 21,000 women over the age of 24. If the company hasn't undergone experiments with young children, then why should the government allow to pass a law requiring 12-year-olds to be vaccinated without additional factual research? And if there has not been more accurate information proving that the vaccine won't cause side effects in the future. There have been other vaccines that have led to abnormalities, as stated in the New York Times article. Enacted in 1976 when the government administrated a vaccine called swine influenza that resulted in injury and took hundreds. Little do we know about how long the immunity will last and the long-term effects that are associated with Gardasil. Many parents disagree on this issue of the bill, of approving this bill. Parents who voiced a concern the government has said in the New York Times that the plan could send a message that sexual activity was condoned or that vaccination made it safe. Rejection of the bill has been based on the aspects that it will help with children from receiving a series of HPV and cervical cancer. This is not large amount of factual information that proves that beliefs of vaccinations are right policies for young 12-year-old children. But it's a new bill. Meagan Company, with the Gardasil bill, says it becoming. But if the new bill from Meagan Company, Gardasil, does become a new law, then the reduction of HPV and risk of cervical cancer will soon possibly decrease.